You ever picked up a healthy snack and thought, wow, only 100 calories, but didn't realize you probably ate like 3 servings without even knowing? Food companies count on you not understanding nutrition labels because if you did, half of their products wouldn't even make it onto your shopping cart. So let's break down what they don't want you to know. In this video, I'm breaking it all down so you can shop smarter, eat better, and finally stop falling for misleading labels. So let's dive straight into it. First thing I want you to pay attention to is the serving size. It's super easy to overlook, but it's actually one of the most important parts of the label. You see all of those numbers that you see at the bottom, the grams of protein, carbs, fats, and even the calories, they're all based off of one serving size, not the entire bag. But here's the catch. Most people eat the whole thing without even realizing the bag actually has 4 servings. So if it says 280 calories per serving, but you ate the entire bag, you just had 1,120 calories, not 280. And you didn't just quadruple the calories, you also quadruple the carbs, the fats, and even the protein. So we're gonna use this nutrition label as an example. So within this entire food item, there's 4 servings and 1 cup for each serving. So that means that there are 4 cups within this entire bag or box. Now, if you were to eat this entire bag of this food item, you'll be consuming 60 grams of protein, 136 grams of carbs, and 36 grams of fat. And this is how a lot of people end up eating more than they think without even realizing it. So next time you grab a snack, check the serving size first, and it'll give you a way more accurate picture of what you're really consuming. And listen, just because it shows a specific serving size doesn't mean that you should actually eat it. All right, next up, let's talk about that percentage you see on the right side of the nutrition label, because that's called the percentage daily value. So what does that actually mean? It's based on a 2,000 calorie diet, which is what the FDA uses as a general guideline for an average adult. But here's the thing, not everyone needs 2,000 calories a day. Some people might need more, especially, if you're super active or you're trying to build more muscle, and others might need less depending on your size, your age, your goals, and your activity level. So when you see something like 20% of your daily fat, that's 20% of what someone on a 2,000 calorie diet would need. So now that might be more or that might be less than you personally need. So we're gonna use this label as an example. 34 grams of carbs is 12% of what the FDA recommends based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So just to simplify it, 100% of your carb intake based on a 2,000 calorie diet is 288 grams, right? 288 grams is the baseline that we're gonna start out with. Now 12% of 288 is 34 grams. Now with the 88 remaining percent, that gives roughly 254 grams left within your diet to consume. Now for you specifically, that might be way too much, especially if you're trying to eat in a calorie deficit and increase your protein intake, which majority of the population needs to do already. And that's why it's important to use the nutrition label as a guideline and not a one-size-fits-all rulebook. I want you to always remember your specific needs are unique to you. The label just gives you a starting point based off the general recommendations of the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Now here's another simple rule of thumb to help you understand the percentage daily value on nutrition labels. It's called the 5 to 20% rule. So here's what it means. We're gonna take this nutrition label as an example again. So if a nutrient is 5% or less, as you see on the right side, it's typically considered low, meaning you're not really getting that much out of that serving size. Now, if it's 20% or more, it's considered high. So let's say you're looking at the sodium content and it says 37%. This serving size is high in sodium. But if you see something like 30% protein, that's pretty high depending on the calorie content, of course. So this rule can help you quickly decide if a food is either high and low in something that you need. All right, now let's talk about something that trips a lot of people up, and that's carbs on the nutrition label. So when you see a specific food that has, let's say, 30 grams of carbs per serving, don't automatically freak out. Instead, I want you to look a little bit deeper, specifically at the fiber. So fiber is a type of carbohydrate, but it behaves differently in your body, right? Like it's not digested or absorbed like other carbs, and it's not used for energy that we typically use for, workouts or a quick fuel. So pay attention, here's the trick. I want you to take the total grams of carbs and subtract it by the total grams of fiber. This is what's gonna give you something called the net carbs. So net carbs equals the total amount of carbs minus fiber. So that's the amount of carbs that your body is gonna actually use for fuel and energy. So here's an example. Let's say a food has 30 grams of carbs, but 10 grams of fiber. You're really only getting 20 grams of usable carbs, right? Because 30 minus 10 is 20. And this is why some high carb foods are still low in calories. It's because fiber isn't being counted into the total amount of calories the same way other carbs would. So the bottom line is don't just look at the total amount of carbs, right? I want you to look at the fiber as well. This is gonna give you a more accurate picture of how food specifically is gonna affect your energy levels and your body. Alrighty, so next thing I want you to pay attention to is the ingredients. I want you to stop paying attention to the misleading labels on the front of the package and start paying attention to the back. So let's take this Nature Valley protein granola as an example. This has 13 grams of protein, but if you actually look at the label, the amount of calories that you're getting for the amount of protein isn't that great. To be honest, you're getting more carbs than you are protein. I don't even want you to count this as a high protein food, because think about it, they're marketing this as high protein, but you're getting more carbs than protein. Now, if you want to know if a source is high in protein, I'm going to show you this quick little rule of thumb. If you take the grams of protein and multiply it by 10, it should be greater than the amount of calories within that serving size, right? So we're going to use this Nature Valley protein granola for an example. 13 grams of protein, if we multiply that by 10, that gives us 130, which is definitely not greater than 270. So yes, you can get protein from this, but it isn't the best source. And it specifically isn't the best source for the amount of calories you're getting, especially if your goal is fat loss and you want to stay in a calorie deficit. Now I'm going to dive back into the ingredients. The ingredients on your nutrition label is listed in descending order by weight. So this is what that means. The first ingredient listed is the one that's used in the largest amount by weight, and each following ingredient is used in smaller amounts. For example, if a protein bar ingredients list starts out like this: dates, peanuts, whey protein isolate, and cocoa powder, this means that dates makes up the biggest portion of the bar, peanuts are the second most used, whey protein isolate is used less than dates in protein, and cocoa powder is used in a smaller amount than all three. And this matters because if you're looking for something that's high in protein, you want to see the source like whey protein isolate or pea protein, for an example, near the top. And if sugar or syrup such as corn syrup or cane sugar are listed first or second, it's more than likely a high sugar product, even though it's marketed as healthy. You really need to start paying attention to everything that I just listed in this video if you really want to optimize better health and better nutrition. So now that you know exactly how to read a nutrition label and what to look out for, you're already one step ahead of the game. But if you're ready to take it a step further and actually start seeing real results with a customized plan, accountability, and real one-on-one coaching to achieve results like this or like this, click the link below to apply for a one-on-one call with me directly to see if I can help. Let's get you leaner, stronger, and feeling more confident in the body that you truly deserve. So if you're serious about transforming your body and you want support through every step of the way, I'll show you exactly how I coach my clients so you can do just that. So click the link down below in the description to get started.